Come into this house of worship. Come in, bringing all of who you are. To touch again eternal springs of hope and renewal. Calm your hurried pace. For this hour, let the cares, the fretfulness, and the worry be set aside. Forgive yourself. You are so very worthy of moving on, of making new efforts, of trying again. Know that you are not alone. There is strength and caring support for you here. You will find comfort if you but ask. Look around. You are part of a potential community. You can make it what you will. Enter into this house of worship. As we light our chalice today, let us remember that we are part of a great community of faith. May this dancing flame inspire us to fill our lives with the Unitarian Universalist ideals of love, justice, and truth. Our church stands on traditional village sites of several Native American tribes. We honor this land. Welcome to Eastrose Fellowship Unitarian Universalist. Welcome to people joining us on YouTube. And let's wave to them right now and then greet your neighbors. YouTube is back there. I'm Lois Williams, your worship leader. Our speaker today is Kirsten Carpentier. We're here. And Kirsten has an eclectic background as a social worker, fundraiser, administrator, and multimedia artist. She's been facilitating art workshops for over 25 years. She believes that through creativity of all sorts, we are able to witness each other's unique gifts and discover healing through common insights we share. She is a passionate international traveler and has spent much of her life on one journey or another. The following reading is from Jalaluddin Rumi, The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Our opening hymn is number 22 in the gray hymnal, Dear Weaver of Our Lives' Design. Please join us in singing. Mary, you're going to play it for once. May you sing. Our story for all ages is the story of Miss Rumphius. This story is being read under the fair use provisions of the U.S. copyright law and has been slightly abridged. The Lupin lady lives in a small house overlooking the sea. In between the rocks around her house grow blue and purple and rose-colored flowers. The Lupin lady is little and old, but she has not always been that way. I know. She is my great aunt, and she told me so. Once upon a time, she was a little girl named Alice who lived in a city by the sea. From the front stoop, she could see wharves and bristling masts of tall ships. Many years ago, her grandfather had come to America on a large sailing ship. Now he worked in the shop at the bottom of the house, carving and painting. For Alice's grandfather was an artist. He painted pictures of sailing ships and places across the sea. When he was very busy, Alice helped him put in the skies. In the evening, Alice sat on her grandfather's lap, on her grandfather's knee, and listened to his stories of faraway places. When he had finished, Alice would say, "When I grow up, I too will go to faraway places. And when I grow old, I too will live beside the sea." "That is all very well, little Alice," said Grandfather, "but there is a third thing you must do." "What is that?" Alice asked. "You must do something to make the world more beautiful," said her grandfather. "All right," said Alice, but she did not know what that could be. And pretty soon, she was grown up. Then my great aunt Alice, set out to do the 3 things she had told her grandfather she was going to do. She left home and went to live in another country, another city, far from the sea and the salt air. Then she worked in a library, dusting books and keeping them from getting mixed up, and helping people find the ones they wanted. Some of the books told her about faraway places. People called her Miss Rumphius now. Sometimes she went to the conservatory in the middle of the park. When she stepped inside on a wintry day, the warm, moist air wrapped itself around her, and the sweet smell of jasmine filled her nose. "This is almost like a tropical isle," said Miss Rumphius, "but not quite." So Miss Rumphius went to a real tropical island where people kept cockatoos and monkeys as pets. One day she met the Bapa Raja, king of a fishing village. "You must be tired," he said. "Come into my house and rest." So Miss Rumphius went and met the Bapa Raja's wife. The Bapa Raja himself fetched a green coconut and cut a slice off the top so that Miss Rumphius could drink the coconut water inside. Before she left, the Bapa Raja gave her a beautiful mother-of-pearl shell on which he had painted a bird of paradise and the words, "You will always remain in my heart." "You will always remain in mine too," said Miss Rumphius. My great-aunt, Miss Alice Rumphius, climbed tall mountains where the snow had never melted. She went through jungles and across deserts, and everywhere she made friends she would never forget. One day, getting off a camel, she hurt her back. "What a foolish thing to do," said Miss Rumphius. "Well, I have certainly seen faraway places. Maybe it is time to find my place by the sea." And so she did. From the porch of her new house, Miss Rumphius watched the sun come up. She watched it cross the heavens and sparkle on the water. She started a little garden among the rocks that surrounded her house and planted flower seeds in the stony ground. Miss Rumphius was almost perfectly happy. "But there is still one more thing I have to do," she said. "I have to do something to make the world more beautiful." "But what? The world is already pretty nice," she thought, looking out over the ocean. The next spring, Miss Rumphius was not very well. Her back was bothering her again, and she had to stay in bed most of the time. The flowers she had planted the summer before had come up and bloomed in spite of the stony ground. She could see them from her bedroom window, blue, purple, and rose-colored. "Lupins," said Miss Rumphius with satisfaction. "I have always loved lupins, the best. I wish I could plant more seeds this summer so that I could have still more flowers next year. but she was not able to. After a hard winter came, Miss Rumphius was feeling much better. Oh, after a hard winter, spring came. That's when she started to feel better. Now she could take walks again. One afternoon, she started to go up and over the hill where she had not been in a long time. "I don't believe my eyes," she cried when she got to the top, for there on the other side of the hill was a large patch of blue and purple and rose-colored lupins. "It was the wind," she said, and knelt in delight. "It was the wind that brought the seeds from my garden here, and the birds must have helped." Then Miss Rumphius had a wonderful idea. She hurried home and got her seed catalogs. She sent off to the very best seed houses for 5 bushels of lupin seeds. All that summer, Miss Rumphius wandered over fields and headlands, sowing lupins. She scattered seeds along the highway and down the country lanes. She flung handfuls of them around the schoolhouse. Her back didn't hurt anymore at all. The next spring, there were lupins everywhere. Fields and hillsides were covered with blue and purple and rose-colored flowers. They bloomed along the highways and down the lanes. Bright patches around schoolhouses. Miss Rumphius had done the third most difficult thing at all. My great Aunt Alice, Miss Rumphius, is very old now. Her hair is very white. Every year there are more and more lupins. Now they call her Lupin Lady. Sometimes my friends stand with me outside her gate, curious to see the old lady who planted the fields of lupins. When she invites us in, they come slowly. They think she is the oldest woman in the world. Often she tells stories of faraway places. When I grow up, I tell her, I too will go to faraway places and come home to live by the sea. "That is all very well, little Alice," says my aunt, "but there is a third thing you must do." "What is that?" I ask. "You must do something to make the world more beautiful." "All right," I say, "but I do not yet know what that can be." Each week, we share half of our basket collection with a local nonprofit organization. This week, we will be sharing with Our Just Future, formerly Human Solutions, whose new tagline is "Working Together for Racial Housing and Economic Justice in East Multnomah County, Oregon." May we know that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other. If you are visiting us today, please be our guest and let the basket pass. If you have an announcement, place it in the basket, and people at home may put announcements in the chat, and they will be read here. We'll now gratefully accept the offering. remain seated for hymn 15 in the gray hymnal, The Lone Wild Bird.
And I'll play that one through also.
Good morning. I'll read a excerpt from Rainier Maria Rilke before starting my sermon. Be patient towards all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves, like locked rooms, like books that are now written in a very foreign tongue. Do not now seek the answers, which cannot be given to you because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps then, gradually, without noticing it, you will live along some distant day into the answer. Good morning. I'm very honored to be here today to talk with you about a journey I've been on in one form or another for most of my life. From the time I can remember, I've been using creative exploration as a way to discover, connect, and witness my own life experience and that of others. I'm a mixed media artist, and for over 25 years, all over the globe, I've been teaching workshops and having individual shows. Many of my students have told me that they aren't artistic or aren't creative. And then they discover that under this belief is fear or shame, but also an artist that flourishes when witnessed. Seeing someone discover their own artistic voice and creative confidence is something that I cherish and I hold sacred. Part of that experience is allowing any and all creative options to flow, with or without censorship or criticism. However, with the events of the past couple of years, I've not been able to do many in-person workshops, and I've also had some personal health challenges. Early in the pandemic, I started to draw a special mandala every day, which was a good way to deal with what felt like a surreal time warp. Then, a little over 2 years ago, I retired, and I realized that not only did my body, particularly my heart, need healing, but so did my ability to navigate a world that seemed to be falling apart and splintering daily. About the time I was diagnosed with a serious heart condition, I read a memoir by Suleika Jawad called Between Two Kingdoms. She's a brilliant young woman who's currently battling leukemia for the second time. This book was the first time I'd read anyone discuss the tension and complexity of illness versus health, the illusion of future thinking, and the importance of the present when faced with possible death. We live in a culture that is always on the go. When plans are disrupted, it can be very confusing, upsetting, even destabilizing. No wonder we've been in a collective state of confusion and angst for the past 2 years. Well, actually, really, more than that. Jawad talks about how she and her family got through the challenges of her harrowing medical treatments by choosing a creative project to do for 100 days. Each of them in her family selected something different and unique to their interests. It helped them to each focus their energy as the months of Jawad's treatments wore on, and it helped them to have something to share with one another. For her first 100-day project, Jawad chose to write about her illness and bone marrow treatment as it unfolded. From these writings, she began a New York Times series called Life Interrupted. Perhaps some of you have read that. She was inspired in part by other writers and artists who fell ill and used their long convalescence as fuel for creativity. She points to Frida Kahlo, whose life was derailed by a terrible accident, and in the process of recovery, discovered painting. Jawad states, "I decided to reimagine my survival as a creative act. I had no way of predicting all the places the 100-day project would take me, but what I knew for now was that I was starting to find my power. As I faced a tricky heart procedure with no guarantees that I would be successful, I was intrigued by the idea of starting my own 100-day project. I decided to make it as easy as possible for myself. My project was to identify 3 words that exemplified each day, and then create a small artwork about those words or my feelings, which sometimes I didn't have any words for. I usually wrote something short on the back of each of my paintings. Just so you know, doing a 100-day project isn't limited to the visual arts. I could have done anything creative. I could have baked some big things every day, or sing, or write poetry, or sew, or carve wooden bowls, whatever. The point is to choose an activity and commit to cultivating a creative practice, whatever that practice might be. What is fundamental to starting a creative practice? First, show up as you are. That can mean feeling sick or lazy or totally uninspired. Show up anyway. As in anything you are developing, showing up is key. Acknowledge the feelings about the creative thing you do. It doesn't matter if it doesn't feel creative or beautiful. This is practice, not perfect. Set the internal judge aside so that you can just feel in the moment whatever shows up. Maybe those feelings are pretty messy. That's okay, just do it. Be present, then let go of the expectations. Be willing to be uncomfortable, yet playful. Experiment. No one has to see this. You're basically dancing and creating like no one is watching. Allow all of your silly moves. Be focused only on the moment of what you do. Be present and give yourself permission to explore now. That's actually all you have anyway. So I have some slides of the artwork that I've done. I only have 8 of the pieces because 100 would be excessive. Each image is on a 6x6 watercolor paper, and I used a variety of mediums. I gave myself about 30 minutes each day or less to do them. Some of them are highly personal. Some of them are about collective experiences that deeply impacted me. I allowed myself to feel uncomfortable with the awkwardness or ugliness of some of the images. The time frame was from April 24th to August 1st of this year. And my first slide was on April 28th, day 5. Breathe, nurture, present. When the fears about what is coming overwhelm me, I forget the gifts of the present. Worrying about the future doesn't allow me to live fully, nurture myself, or even breathe. May 13th, day 20. Suspended, nausea, restore. Felt really punky today, adrift in a sea of nausea, pain, and suspended between health and vitality, chronic illness, heart disease. May 24th, day 31. Kids, terror, guns. When will it end? When is it enough that leaders will lead? May 31st, day 38. Sweet May shift. The light and energy has shifted within and without me. There are only so many months of May in your lifetime. Give them the gratitude they deserve. Love them well. June 24th, day 62. Rights, abortion, whose life? Such a dark day. The ripple impact on so many generations of lives is hard to fully imagine. July 5th, day 73. Storm, worry, prayer. The storm of emotional angst and worry was intense this evening. Being in the present is also a form of prayer. July 8th, day 76. Lineage, new chapter. Today I was thrilled to meet my first grandchild, Riley Margaret. A new chapter begins in our family. July 25th, day 93. Cool, jasmine, refreshment. I took my walk before noon and noticed what called me to it via my nose, the jasmine wall. I buried my nose in it like a cool, fragrant kiss of refreshment. These are just a sample. You get the idea. They're all different and of the moment and the experience of that particular day. So what did I notice from my 100 days? Wow, a lot happened from April to August this year, both personally and collectively. I had a heart procedure. The world felt more dangerous and fraught. My first granddaughter was born. I noticed how spring turned into summer, one leaf and one day at a time. And incrementally, my body and my mind began to heal. It helped to acknowledge where I was in my process, even when I had setbacks, and using my creative practice to witness my ups and downs was honoring to my healing. Healing continues as an ongoing process. Just because my project is over doesn't mean my internal process is over. I find, however, that I'm more attuned now to the present and how I'm feeling. I don't just rush past something beautiful or painful on my way to something more important. Being present means allowing whatever shows up and noticing the nuance of all the senses, and creatively interpreting what is felt without judgment about or attachment to how that looks. Doing the 100-day project was a bit like exercise. Sometimes I resisted, and I had excuses, and I just didn't want to do it. Sometimes I pushed myself anyway. Other times I gave myself permission to come back to it later or the next day. There's power to seeing all the images together and to see what I experienced over almost a third of a year. I found life richer, even sweeter for doing my creative practice, even as things in the world seem to get more and more out of balance. How can you do a 100-day creative practice? My first suggestion is to choose something simple and doable in an allotted time. It can be anything you might find interesting. Choose something that might stretch you a little, but don't overthink it or add a lot of complexity or anxiety. This is your project. The point is to actually do it. Make time for this practice every day, like you would exercise. Enthusiasm may wane after a month, so give yourself permission to pare it down if you need to. Maybe you get an accountability buddy or two. Check in with your buddy, but don't feel like this is a competition or that you have to prove yourself. Think of them as your walking partner on this creative journey. Allow this to be easy, even fun. Be open to what shows up and don't censor. Love your creations even when you don't love them. No burn piles until afterwards. Let what you do rest and revisit it months later with fresh eyes. You may discover a new springboard of creative inspiration. In summary, we are living through a time of so much angst and brokenness and grief. Besides this emotional toll is taking on us, many of us are experiencing physical challenges or illness. It can feel pretty overwhelming on every level. What if a creative practice was the antidote to everything that overwhelms us? Or if we could just take the next 100 days and practice being present to what wants to be created now? I've had a few months off from my 100-day project, but I find I miss the daily practice, and I have a new one planned to start tomorrow. This is my invitation to you. Allow yourself to make a step towards healing by committing to a daily creative practice. I think if you do, you'll find something starts to shift for the better, and slowly you may discover parts of yourself and your life begin to heal. Thank you.
Our closing hymn is number 18 in the gray hymnal, What Wondrous Love This Is. So please stand for this hymn if you are able.
Play it through.
chalice. And may this flame that has brightened our time together warm our hearts, light our paths, and inspire our vision as we once again go our separate ways. Please remain seated for the benediction and postlude.
What if we only have now? We only create ourselves from the minute that is. What if we approach each day afresh and accept the messiness, joy, fear, and surprise that confronts us in this moment? What would we create if we came daily to this practice of now? Would we see ourselves with fresh eyes?
Have a few announcements. Next week's service will be standing in line, waiting to talk to God. And it is Sumatranga Watson, I think, doing the service. So let's see. And Snow Cap, people may volunteer at Snow Cap to serve meals and to also have your meal there on the 24th. Is that right? November 24th. I don't know why I don't have that written here. Anyway, from 12 to 2. And if you want more information on that, Keene has that, and so does Kim Smith. The other two things I have to do with Winterfest. Cynthia, do you want to say any more about that, or just that it will be on December 3rd? And there are sign-ups out in the hall for Winterfest for things to bring, how to help.
I have one too, that didn't make it to you.
Oh, you have an announcement? Okay. And so do you want to do your announcement?
This is about the winter decorations, which are the huge snowflakes and things that go up in the narthex. And right now, we have lovely pictures and paintings there that have been loaned by our members. And so I'm asking everyone who has such wonderful decorations now in the narthex to take them down anytime between now and, say, Saturday. I don't know if we'll be hanging Saturday the 19th or Sunday the 20th. Do you have an idea about that, Cynthia? The snowflakes.
I think we've done it after church.
So Sunday the 20th, we'll
Yeah.
probably hang the snowflakes. So remember to take your picture home. And after the holidays, we'll have another hanging. And Mary's made a suggestion, thank you, Mary, of having everyone bring pictures of themselves as a child. Maybe not just the smallest baby, if you have one that's an older child. And we can guess who's who. It would be wonderful if we could get everyone to bring them, even the little baby. We probably know what he looks like. And the children. That's it. Oh, yes, we could probably need some help putting up the snowflakes when we're done.
Okay, and Tara, would you like to tell us about the family ministry that's coming up?
So hi, I'm Tara. I just wanted to let you guys know that we hung a new bulletin board for family ministry. It's down by the entrance to the nursery. And that's just a place where we can share some information about Soulful Home. I made some flyers that people are welcome to take home with them. There's also information on upcoming events. So right now there's a Zoom story time on November 20th. If you want information on that, feel free to email me at familyministry@eastrose.org. And thanks to our volunteers, Linda and Kathy Lovell, the children's spaces have been pretty much cleared out. We can now talk about ways to fill them. So anybody who's interested in getting involved, and also this is for all generations. We'd love to see the generations come together. Please feel free to email Family Ministry. We would love to hear from you and get your input.
Larry?
Take advantage of this, not having prepared for it. We do have a cleanup coming up this coming Saturday from 1 to 4 o'clock. It would be helpful for everybody that can turn up to be there and help us out. Mostly outdoors because we got leaves. We're beginning to take care of the leaves. But if you don't want to work outdoors, we still got stuff indoors to be done too. Thank you.
And I do have an announcement. Oh,
Shall I get mine in first?
sure.
This is Katie Norris asked me to make this announcement. Katie is our treasurer, and she's trying to close out the budget. So, because we'll be having a congregational meeting very soon about all of this. So, she needs, if any of you have any, have paid for something and you need to get a receipt.
You want to be reimbursed?
You want to be reimbursed, thank you. By the church, you need to get it in before the end of November, or you're going to have to wait a long time. Yeah. So like if you signed up for training and you paid for that, and the church is going to pay you back, you've got to take the voucher in. The vouchers are in the office, or you can ask Sherry or pretty much any of us that have been around a long time. And the other thing is, I'm really looking forward to Winterfest. Please go take a look at the sign-up sheets. It's free, it's fun. It's December 3rd in the afternoon. It's a lovely formal holiday tea.
And bake sale.
And bake sale, yes.
I think that's all. That's all the announcements. Cynthia did the one that I was going to do, so
Okay.
that's great. You have some?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go, Mary.
Okay, speaking of sign-up sheets, there's a lot of blank spots in the Bringing Flowers sign-up sheet. I'm happy to do it. Every Saturday I come and do chapel prep, and if nobody's signed up, then I do something. But if somebody signed up, that would be even better. So, and the other thing is I'm trying to recruit a Christmas Eve choir. So far I only have 4 people. That's really not enough. We would rehearse the first 3 Sundays in December, right after church, about 12:15, and then sing on Christmas Eve, something simple, unison, 2-part, something like that. So it'd be neat to get a group together. Either let me know today or email music@eastrose.org. Thanks.
I think that's it. And if people on YouTube would like to chat, there's a link for you to go to Zoom and chat with each other. And we will have coffee and tea here. Stay and visit.